Oh, it's going great, man. It feels real good.
How long ago did you start like throwing again? It wasn't too long ago, was it?
I started throwing in October, and I started bullpens. I think early February was the date.
Okay, yeah. So just about a month ago then, yeah.
Yeah, pretty recently.
What was kind of like, were you like scared at all, I guess, of re-injuring? Was that ever a thought or?
At the beginning in October when I first started throwing, I was a little timid with how hard I should be throwing the ball, I guess you could say, or the amount of intensity to put into it. But overall, I wasn't really scared that it was going to re-injure it. But there definitely was a thought in the back of my mind that was a possibility.
Mm-hmm. And now it seems like it's not that much there anymore.
Oh no, it's going good right now. Actually, I just took a little off week this week from bullpens to let it recover back, and everything's going good from this past week. But it's going good.
Did you know, like, the moment that you tore the ligament, was it like a sudden thing, or was it more of a gradual buildup?
I definitely could pinpoint when I did it, but it was pretty gradual throughout through spring training that my arm was giving me problems. But when it did happen, I definitely knew that it happened. Yeah.
Yeah, such a tough situation, for athletes, like especially in someone in your position where you're new to the team or the organization, and taking a year off kind of sets you back a bit in the pecking order, right? So I can see how like other athletes, how they want to try and push through the injuries, they try to discredit, the pain and stuff, and then sometimes your body just says it can't do it anymore and it breaks down.
Yeah. With my position right now, I was pretty young at the time, and I think I realized that being young was good, because when I came back, I would still be one of the younger guys in the organization. So I kind of took it in a way that it was more of a blessing, and allowed me to put on weight and figure out things that I wouldn't really have had time to figure out without having the injury.
Yeah. Because you were like 17 or close to 18 when you started in the Arizona League.
Yeah, I was 17 when I got drafted. I turned 18 in July.
That's pretty crazy. Like, I don't know. I got to assume it's not that common for pitchers to be 17 years old playing minor league, professional baseball. I don't know how common that is. Do you know how common?
As an American, no, but I know the Latin players, they sign in to the Dominican team when they're 15 years old. So
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy on their part. They start pretty early, but as an American, 17 is pretty young.
Yeah, 15 is super young. I got to imagine the pressure those kids feel, playing. You're part of an organization, you're feeling that pressure at 15. I mean, it's got to be crazy and just so hard to deal with for those kids.
Yeah, dude, I couldn't imagine it. I know when I was 15, I wasn't even close to being mentally prepared to being under the Dodgers organization and call myself a professional anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you feel mentally prepared when you got drafted?
I think in a way, I didn't really know what mentally prepared was at the time. I think I was just going out there and throwing the ball as if it was just another day.
Right.
But definitely putting on the Dodgers uniform really put it in a different perspective than it would have been back in high school.
Yeah, that's kind of like when when reality sets in, is when you put that jersey on for the first time, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I know.
What's it like being? Because obviously you're still a fairly young prospect right now, like being 19 years old. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what's it like? Being a nine, even back when you were 17, being around some of the pros in the organization. Were you ever kind of like? I would imagine if I was in your situation, just maybe could be my personality and just the situation, I would feel really shy and like really tentative to speak up and stuff. Always worried about saying the wrong thing.
Oh yeah, dude. Especially at the beginning. Now it's not so bad because I know most of the guys. They know me. I know them personally, and I'm pretty good friends with everybody. But when I first got drafted, man, I felt like I couldn't really say anything without having some sort of repercussion to my comment or anything. But it was definitely changed a lot over the year and a half I've been here. But at the beginning, it was wasn't hard, but it was different.
Was there anybody in the organization that kind of helped you out in that aspect, kind of, had your back a bit or showed you the ropes kind of thing?
Oh yeah. My roommates definitely helped a lot. Julian Smith and Aaron Ackerman, but there's, I don't know if you've heard of Zach McAllister. He pitched for the Indians and Tigers in the big leagues. He actually helped me out through rehab a lot, and he taught me how to kind of grow up in a sense. But he's definitely a big help. He taught me the mental sides of things and how to look at things from different perspectives and how to work hard. Because in high school, I didn't really know how to. I thought I was working hard, but you really don't know until you get out here and someone's like, "All right, come on."
Yeah. Obviously, like there's pretty obvious physical differences between playing high school ball and major league or minor league ball. What are some of the biggest like mental differences you find being around high school players and then being around the pros?
There's definitely a lot of differences, but the main key ones for me is that a lot of these guys, and I do now too, but this is our job, and people are fighting for a job and trying to stay healthy, and it's super stressful, I guess you could say, trying to stay healthy and compete and do certain things that in high school you wouldn't really have to do. High school, you just go out there and you're having fun, and you're trying to go to college. I know some guys aren't really trying to go to college, and some are just there just to play, but definitely a different feeling around these guys than it would be in high school.
Yeah, I know you had a commitment yourself to go play some college ball, and then you ended up just going to the Dodgers organization. How did you get to that or reach that decision to forego commitment and then go to the Dodgers organization? Was that your plan? If you got drafted, you would for sure do that, or was it maybe more of a tougher decision to make?
I had talked to my parents about it, my agent, and I said, if I get the what I feel is the right amount of money to forego going to college and giving up an education, then I'm going to go, because anything could have happened over this course of this 3-4 years I would have been in college in terms of health or just anything else. And I think being drafted is a once in a lifetime experience, and I just didn't want to pass that up.
Yeah. And were you guilty? Like, did you feel any sort of guilt for not going through with college ball, given you maybe had committed to a team, or is that pretty open discussion between you and the school?
It had been spoken about, but obviously I felt a little guilty because I had given my word to the coaches, and I met all the incoming class, and it felt kind of weird at the beginning, but when I look at it, it's kind of just I don't know how to say it, but it felt good to be able to know that now I get to just focus on baseball rather than doing school, baseball, and all that other stuff that comes with college.
Yeah. I got to imagine that's a bit of kind of an advantage of like how teams go away for spring training, not for the weather, but you kind of get away from all the local media and everything, and you're able to just kind of focus on baseball for, a month or two before the season starts.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Definitely. Being in spring training definitely allows you to focus on what you need to focus for the upcoming season and get things dialed in.
Yeah. Being a prospect, I think baseball is one of those sports where they place such an emphasis on like prospects, because there's so many, positions in the sport. There's so many, prospects, so many minor league teams. When you look at like a football or, a hockey or basketball team, they don't really talk about like top 50 prospects in an organization. You're likely to have 2 or 3 good prospects, right?
Yeah.
How hard is it to kind of block out all the noise of like prospect rankings? And I don't know if you see yourself on like prospect rankings, but I got to imagine that, it's probably a bit of a tricky kind of situation to deal with, where you kind of want to see where you're ranking, but at the other time, it's just another distraction, right?
I guess for some guys it could be a distraction, but the way I look at it is I kind of just block all that stuff out. And yeah, I like to look and see where I am and stuff, but at the same time, all these people here are so good at the sport, and they're here for a reason. Anybody can take anybody's job, and anything can happen. Get Tommy John and maybe not come back the same, or get it and come back even better. And there's a bunch of different outcomes that could happen to anything. And that's just how I look at it. I don't really put any thought into it.
Do you feel better now after your Tommy John, or do you feel about the same from before?
Oh, I definitely feel a lot better. I got a lot.
Yeah, just the rehab and stuff. Like you said, that's one thing that I think a lot of athletes need to start, realizing is, yes, and like nobody wants to be injured, of course. Everybody wants to play as much as they can, but there's a good and a bad side to everything, right? The bad side to injuries is you can't play, but the good side is you get to rehab and, focus on the weaknesses that you normally wouldn't have the time to focus on.
Yeah, for sure. Being able to strengthen my body and learn how the body moves and tweak my mechanics, even though I couldn't even throw the ball just by doing dry work on the mound and all that stuff. And it gives you a lot more time to focus on things when you don't have to compete against anybody and you're just worried about yourself.
Yeah. And not even like just the physical, not even just feeling better physically after, but mentally, I got to imagine when you go through such an adverse situation, it kind of, not only do you grow like the mentality as a baseball player or an athlete, but it helps your mentality grow as a person overall.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely does.
What's, so when you're kind of in the middle of a game, there's one question I'm always interested in asking pitchers. It's because pitchers is such a unique position where the spotlight is on you guys in the middle of the game, right? Like you're throwing the ball, and if that ball gets hit for a home run, like the onus is all on you, right? You're getting all the heat.
Yeah.
When you're throwing a ball that might, sail out of the park, how do you kind of reset your mind so that you're attacking the next pitch, with the same intensity and the same intent that you normally would?
Oh, okay. I think there's a different way to look at giving up a home run. It definitely differs on the situation you're in and what whether you're in the playoffs or in spring training or stuff like that. But for me, I always just try and just block it out and just try and tell myself that, the hitter got lucky that I missed my spot, or the hitter got lucky that he touched the ball and stuff like that, just trying to hype myself back up. But the big thing about baseball is forgetting the past and worrying about the future, or even just worrying about the now. But what happened, and it's time to focus back up.
Yeah. Was that something that you always were able to kind of do well, or in high school, was this something that maybe you didn't really realize as much?
Yeah, I would say in high school, I didn't really realize it that much because in high school, giving up home runs was pretty rare for any pitcher, to be honest. There's always, every team has that one guy that you have to worry about in high school, but out here, you really have to worry about every batter. Anybody can put the ball out of the park in professional ball. Everybody has the ability to barrel up a ball and put it in the gap or score some runs and do certain things that not a lot of players in high school could have done.
Yeah. And, the whole piece about like not only just, the thing about resetting your mind, but just the mentality of athletes in general. I feel like there's such a huge, emphasis on it now in the media, even where a lot of people are talking about mental health in athletes and, getting the mental side of your game right. How extensive is like the mental performance team, with a professional baseball club? Like, do you guys have like sports psychologists and like everything like that?
Oh yeah. We have 2 guys. We have a little group of people that we call them the Strong Mind Group. They come, and we actually just did a thing a couple of days ago where I don't know if you've heard of the organization with Mamba, Kobe Bryant's organization. It's called Mamba Mentality. They came in and they had a little talk about how to strengthen your mind and how to work out your mind as if you were working out your body, and doing things like that to be more physically strong and to go deeper in depth with what you can do with your mind. And I think being mentally strong is a huge part about being a good athlete and being a good baseball player. And I don't know, there's definitely a lot to learn, and it's fun to learn.
Yeah. When you say like working out your mind, just like you work out the body, do they like, or do you do like specific like mental exercises next? I think like when you work out your body, you're doing like bench press, deadlift, squat, stuff like that. Do you actually do like mental exercises, I guess, throughout the week?
I wouldn't say weekly we do, but definitely there are some exercises that are done to strengthen your body and talk to people and learn from people that have experienced things. And just asking questions and always being kind of nosy, I guess you could say, with every aspect of your mind and your body and all that stuff.
Yeah. And one thing that one exercise that I get a lot of my athletes to do specifically is like visualization. I don't know if it's something that you guys practice a lot, but like actually visualizing the next play. And it's pretty crazy how much the mind kind of controls the body, so to say. That even just by visualizing you doing something, you're more likely to do it than if you didn't visualize it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. We do drills all the time where we'll stand on the mound and just close our eyes and kind of feel everything that we want to feel through our mechanics without actually doing them, and putting ourselves in a setting where maybe we're facing Mike Trout or some really good hitter in Dodger Stadium, and just imagining maybe striking him out or just throwing a strike or even just feeling good mechanics. It definitely helps a lot with the mindset of everything.
Yeah. Another one too. We talked about the reset, like resetting your mind a bit and visualization. Another one I want to get your opinion on, being obviously a pitcher in a professional organization, is like self-reflecting. So when a game is done, how quickly are you thinking about like improving what happened, or how quickly are you thinking about coming up with the plan to attack for the next game? Because pitcher's in a weird position where like when you're a hitter, you're hitting pretty much every day or every game, right? Or at least 95% of the games. When you're a pitcher, I mean, save if you're in the bullpen, but if you're a starting pitcher, you're pitching, every 5 days, for example. Bullpen, you might pitch 1 or 2 days in a row, and then you have a couple of days off. How quickly as a pitcher are you kind of like self-reflecting after a game? Is it right away, or do you try to give yourself a bit of a breathing room after a game and then, attack it the next day, for example?
Oh man. For me, I think reflecting on the good and the bad things is very important to do pretty sudden, because if I go and I forget a certain situation that happened, then I don't want to forget that. So usually right after the game, you think about the bad things you did and how to fix them, and you think about the good things you did to be able to repeat them. And I think that's very important, to be able to self-reflect and not only think about the good things you did, but learn from the bad and continue to do the good.
Yeah. And I think that's a part where I think a lot of kids struggle with, just in my experience, seeing kids, like when they have a bad game, quote unquote, they don't want to talk about it after, right? They just like want to shut up. They don't want to talk about it. They're just like, let's go to the next game or something like that. But if you just kind of forget about the bad games, it doesn't really give you an opportunity to learn from them. Yeah.
I'll add something on that. A lot of people don't like to talk about it because they'd rather just think about it in their mind. And, but definitely you don't want to just forget what you did.
Yeah. Even just as simple as like a lot of the kids that I talk to and stuff, they'll say they reflect, for example, but they're like, oh, like I just think about it. But like, we don't really know exactly what they're thinking. Like they can say they're thinking something, but we don't actually know for sure. So I always stress to people to write down your reflections. So you have it in a concrete piece of paper. And then, and not only does it, forces you to maybe think about it a bit more, but it actually makes the self-reflecting real. Like it kind of also helps with you opening up about, something bad that might have gotten in the game, because I think a lot of athletes strive to be perfect. And when something bad goes wrong in their game, for example, they feel like they're not perfect, and they attach a lot of their self-worth or their value to their game. So when their game's not going well, they feel like pretty crappy. So that's why I feel like they want to forget about the bad things so they don't feel bad about themselves. But I think it's all really important to open up that discussion with athletes and be like, hey, everyone makes mistakes. Like, Kershaw he gives up dingers, Bumgarner gives up dingers, Mike Trout strikes out. Like every professional athlete has a mistake. And I think it's really important for kids to realize that, if a professional athlete isn't perfect, then you can strive to be perfect, but it might not be realistic.
Yeah, for sure. And being able to, even if you don't like to talk to an outside source about your bad game, I think writing stuff down allows you to talk to yourself about what you did bad, and I don't know, I write some things down about just how my day went, what I did good, what I did bad, how I felt. And definitely, especially in baseball, you can I'm sure you've heard it before, but you can hit 3 balls out of 10 and have a really good average. And
right.
yeah. But
yeah, it's baseball. Like I've said that with baseball players in the past, where like it's a weird sport where if you're hitting 32% of the balls, like you are elite hitter pretty much.
Yes.
Probably 35, maybe be a bit more accurate. Whereas, as athletes strive to be perfect, in baseball, if you're only 35% perfect as a hitter, of course, like you're like an elite level hitter, right? So it's hard because people want to strive to be perfect again. And really the standard in baseball isn't perfection. It's a game filled with mistakes, full of mistakes. And you have to learn to deal with mistakes, I got to imagine, in order to succeed in the sport.
Oh yeah, for sure. Being perfect everybody wants to be perfect. But I think when you want to be perfect and then you also realize you're not going to be is when you can be really good and do some amazing things with your career.
How much of a emphasis did you put on perfection going into the Dodgers organization? Like that first, practice session, maybe your first bullpen session. How hard was it for you to kind of deal with mistakes? I got to feel like as a prospect, you're trying to prove yourself, right? You're trying to prove that you're warranted the draft pick. So
yeah,
the mistakes might be a bit more magnified in that situation.
Yeah, definitely. When I was younger, about a year ago, I definitely felt like I needed to be perfect. Not with everything I did, but at least on the mound and being able to throw strikes and hit spots and make certain pitches, do certain things. And I don't know. I just felt like, especially being young, a lot was getting thrown at me, and I just didn't really know how to react to those things other than thinking that I need to do all these things exactly how they're telling me to do them.
Right. Yeah. Another thing about baseball that I feel like it goes really, it's maybe really underappreciated is like the travel schedule and time away from home, right? Because as a baseball player, there's not, when you think about a football schedule, for example, they play once a week. So they have time to go home for a bit, spend time with their family, then go back out to practice. Sports like hockey and basketball, like it's every couple of days you're playing, but you do have those odd times you're able to go back home and stuff. For baseball, it's completely different, where the season's nonstop. And when you have one rest day, you're pretty much getting ready for the next trip that's ahead. Oh, yeah. How hard is it as a baseball player, or maybe how hard was it for you to leave home knowing that, the constraints of the baseball schedule?
At the beginning, it was definitely hard, and not being able to see my parents or my friends and being away from home for the first time in my life was definitely pretty hard. Being out here with people I just met and trying to grow up in a sense by myself in a way. It was pretty hard, but as of right now, it's a lot easier because you get used to it. A lot of these guys are used to it. Obviously, we still miss home and want to see our parents and our family, our friends. But I think for me, I just realized that this is my dream and this is my job, and I need to be out here and to work and get better and be able to fulfill my dream. And I don't know, I enjoy it, but there's also downsides to everything.
Yeah. Because how far away are you from home right now if you're in Arizona?
Ooh, I'm from Houston, Texas. I don't know exactly how many miles that is, but it's about a 16-hour drive from my house to where I'm at right now. Yeah, man. As a 17-year-old kid, that's got to be like, you have a lot of guts for doing that. Because at 17, I don't know if I could do it. Even if, the Blue Jays were calling me and they're just a couple hours down the road, I would still have a hard time, coming to terms with moving away that far away at that young of an age. But I think it all kind of comes down to, professional athletes. They really have a love for the game. I feel 99% of them, maybe there's the odd person that maybe doesn't, but a lot of athletes, like for someone like you and people in your position to make that such of a life transition, it really has to come from a place of having a passion for the game of baseball, or else you obviously wouldn't have made that large of a leap. Oh yeah. And it just makes going home and seeing your family and friends that much more special. And you get to really enjoy the moments that you have with them and remember all the little things. Like if I'm home for a month during the off season or 2 months, I really and make sure I enjoy and do a lot of things rather than just sit alone at home and be like, yeah, you want to hang out? I'm always making sure I'm going to go see somebody that day, Yeah. When you're going back home, like a month, like you described, are you like
are you trying to like not talk about baseball actively? Like, are you trying to just take a break from the game in general, or is it still part of like your day-to-day life?
Oh, when I go back home, I still do. It's pretty day to day. I do my workouts. I do my throwing and running and whatever else I feel I need to do for that day. But also there's a time that I feel that, like if I'm at dinner with my parents, I don't want to talk about baseball at that moment. I just want to enjoy dinner with my parents, or when I'm with my friends, I just want to be with my friends again. I don't want to be the baseball player. I don't want to talk about, oh, did you meet Cody Bellinger? Blah, blah, blah. But all those things, they're cool, but there's definitely a point where it comes down to, I just want to be that normal, regular kid again. But I realize that that's not how it's going to be if I'm going to hopefully one day make it to the big leagues or go to AAA, AA and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's got to be something that's so tough for athletes to deal with. I think like you hit the nail on the head right there, where at the beginning it kind of seems cool. Like, oh, like people are recognizing you as a baseball player and stuff. But then after a while it gets old. You just kind of want to live your normal life, right? And
being home especially.
Yeah. I don't know how much this applies to baseball, but just like as a hockey example, they always talk about how hockey players, they want to kind of go down south so they're not as recognizable and they can live more of a normal life, right? Because if you have a hockey player, for example, in Arizona or Florida or something, they're not going to get the same media attention where they will in Canada, Toronto, Montreal, right? Like in Toronto, they can't even walk down the street without getting harassed. Whereas
for sure,
Arizona, they can live a pretty normal life. And I think that's another aspect of, professional sports that people maybe don't fully appreciate or maybe take for granted a bit is like there's really no off time as you get like to elite status athlete. You got to be on the ball 24/7. There's no off time to just chill, go to Dairy Queen, for example, or something, or just go to a restaurant.
Oh yeah. For me right now in my career, that I don't really worry about where I am, but it's definitely more expected to be recognized if I'm at the field or maybe even in public. I don't know. When I'm in Arizona, especially during spring training time, they're here for baseball most of the time. If they have Dodger stuff on and they see a group of 5 over 6 foot tall people walking around, they're just going to assume that they're baseball players. And
right.
But definitely at home, I don't really get recognized that much unless I knew the people previously of baseball.
So how long are you going to be staying in Arizona for? Is your spring training wraps up pretty soon, doesn't it? Then are you staying there for the Arizona League?
Spring training, actually, I want to say the first day of spring training was yesterday.
Oh, okay.
It ends, I want to say April 3rd. I will be here for extended spring training to continue rehabbing. And after that, when I'm cleared to throw and stuff, I don't really know where I'm going to be. I'm assuming it might be the AZL for at least the beginning or maybe the whole year to just continue building up my strength and getting back into pitching again.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you taking some time tonight. I know a hectic schedule and everything, and glad to hear that the arm's feeling good and you're pretty close to returning to some game action. So it's really good to hear. And I obviously wish you the best of luck for the upcoming season.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the rehab wishes and thank you for having me.